Factoree, which has been going 3-4 years. We, group of associates, generally working from home, we come together for all of the special skills that you need to develop IoT gadgets for monitoring, controlling things. We design them, help you get them made if you need to do that as well, or build things from off-the-shelf items that are already available, because that's cheaper. The idea of Factoree was to have a core team of people who are working together a little bit more regularly than random freelancers, so that we could collaborate more effectively that way. What is Internet of Things? One of the early iconic products. It's in the Design Museum, so please don't let on that I've taken mine apart, because I'm an electronics engineer. I helped in the development, the redevelopment of it. This was one of the first well-known IoT products. It's basically a big lamp that you switch on and off, and whenever you switch the big lamp on and off, somewhere else in the world, little lamp turns on and turns off. Ambient connectedness, that's what Alex, the founder, refers to it as. That indication happens without shouting at you. The same function could be achieved by the student person away sending a text message, but that requires deliberate action and the notification. In my mind, the ding of notifications is the internet shouting at you, whereas things that you glance at, things that only provide information when you look at them, is a very different experience. And that really is one of the key points of IoT for me. If I was a GP and it was a batch of vaccines about to come above their storage temperature, then that's an even better use of an internet fridge. Dishwashers running at a time when the electricity is available cheaper or greener. That becomes even more of an issue if we're talking about charging electric cars. Obviously, electric cars will be taking a lot of our electricity compared with what we currently expect for kitchen appliances. I used to try and distinguish what was and what wasn't, what didn't count as IoT, but I gave up on that. It potentially covers so many aspects. I tend to go with items that connect in some way and generate or make use of information without the ongoing attention of a human being. Things that gather information and use it, and you don't have to be personally involved giving it your attention for it to work. What is IoT? I think can extend into, am I a thing? And I had my heart monitored for 7 days, and I didn't sit on a website typing that information in. So in that sense, yes, for that 7 days, I was quite happy to be a thing that was being monitored. It's often important that the thing being monitored is not affected. The behavior is not affected by being monitored. So yeah, I'd probably have drunk a lot less beer that week if my doctor had wired me up for as a beer detector as well. That wouldn't have given a true picture of my behavior. Any computer can be turned into an Internet of Things device, if you like. All you really need is for it to be available to sync into the background. A typical desktop or laptop PC sits there consuming a fair amount of energy, isn't terribly convenient. So ideally you'd want something physically a bit smaller. So something that a lot of people may have come across is the Raspberry Pi. Think of it as a computer with the processing power of a laptop of about 5 years ago, which is more than adequate for most of the things that you might want to do. The Arduino is a good starting point for this. Similar to a Raspberry Pi, but there's a very wide range of add-on boards that can be plugged on top that allow you to interface to the outside world, make things happen in the real world, and gather measurements from the real world. It would be remiss of me not to instead point you at the BBC microbit, because I was called in by the BBC a few years ago to help them make this project happen, design and get initially 1 million of these made and give one to every 11-year-old in the UK. The beauty of this is, it's true low power. Can run off a coin cell if you want to, and it has a lot of the sensors already built into it. Accelerometer, so you can tell how it's moving. There's a display already built into it, and it has Bluetooth Low Energy, so it can communicate with your mobile phone and thereby access the internet, make things happen over the internet. For those people who want to program it with a more traditional programming language, you can do. You can type things and put special semicolons at the end of lines to make it do what you want, but it's also programmable via an initially more intuitive system. What we were trying to encourage was, if the thing doesn't do what you want it to do in its current form, the point of you don't have to wait for Apple not necessarily to release the imagination of those people that hopefully will do what you want it to do. You get in there and you make it do what you want to do. Even if you don't go and get hold of a microbit, Arduino, Raspberry Pi, or any of these things, there's so much you can do without having any hardware at all. I'd encourage you to look at If This Then That, which is a way of plugging together functionality such that when something happens, something else happens. And that might be that when someone sends a tweet containing a particular hashtag, then something else happens, which might be order more milk and have it delivered from Tesco's. It could be, if the Met Office's weather forecast for tomorrow is above 30 degrees, then send a message to my boss. If you're around the Milton Keynes area, I sort of organise, that's a strong word, the Internet of Things Milton Keynes meetup group. If you go onto meetup.com and type Internet of Things, we're generally a really friendly bunch. We may be populated by lots of extremely enthusiastic people who sometimes forget what it was like to be coming at it for a starter, but there's a lot of people exploring, and I won't even call them beginners, because it's the ideas of the people who have not become ingrained with looking at things in a particular way that sometimes shake us old hands out of and help us see things from the outside point of view. I'll go further than this. I'd say, even if you have no ambition whatsoever to learn to code yourself or do electronics yourself, come along with the attitude of wanting to change things and make technology work the way you want it to. Because within my meetup group, I like to try and have a balance between the professionals who are trying to make a living out of this, but may have lost their enthusiasm. There's the enthusiasts who don't always realize that they can actually get paid for doing some of this. And there's the users for whom we're trying to do all of this. And those users can be people who want things to work and solve a problem for them, or they might be users who are really scared about what Internet of Things might mean for them. And is it Big Brother? Is it Skynet? Because those are concerns that we all have, and we'd help people. What are people scared of, and what can we do to make it not the big bad corporation? Make it work positively. A few years ago, A couple of ladies approached me at a Internet of Things London meetup talking about digital worry beads. I thought, brilliant, okay, I know exactly what this thing is from just that description. And what they proposed was a stress ball that measured how hard you were squeezing it, and the duration, and this was linked via Bluetooth to your mobile phone. If it had a connection at that time, then the mobile phone would store the location of where you'd squeezed this item. If it wasn't connected at the time, then it just stored the time and then transferred it next time it was in contact with your mobile phone. The point being that you could keep this device discreetly in your pocket, and if you were feeling anxious about something, you could tag that moment, make a little entry on the phone next time you get a private opportunity, so that you have a log of all of these occasions. And if you're taking some sort of therapy, or if you just want to review it yourself, you can start saying, okay, yeah, it's this is a situation that I need to put some thought into. That's recently been retargeted, that product, for use in classrooms where there are children with ADHD, various special educational needs, just allowing them to express their need for help from a teaching assistant or something like that. And very interesting that they've been doing quite a lot of work with UCL, that haptic feedback, when you squeeze something, and that in itself helps dissipate, and the vibrational feedback that comes back is a comfort in itself. You're interacting with something, and you end up having a very different type of relationship with this item, because you project a human-like characteristic into it. I pulled out of the drawer actually some projects that I'd been involved with, and this was another product that we developed. It's a standard British 13 amp twin main socket, but built into the back of it, we added effectively mobile data functionality. There's a SIM card in there. This is for putting in the home of an elderly person wanting to carry on living independently. It simply detects whether there's movement. There's a movement detector here. Is someone moving around in the kitchen? Is the temperature of the house as it should be? And is the kettle being boiled at the usual time each day? And if any of those patterns of behavior deviate from what it has learned to be normal for that person, then maybe it's time to alert someone to just to call and check that things are okay. But I installed one of these, and within 2 or 3 days, I had completely forgotten that it existed, because it just sat there and didn't shout at me. We worked on the radio protocols. So this was 95 to 2000. And now, if you've got anything that's using Bluetooth Low Energy, so maybe your Fitbits or devices like that, anything that's using Zigbee, all UK smart meters, most home automation gadgets, then you're using the radio protocol work that we started off doing back then. A massive part of IoT is understanding people and their behavior, rather than understanding the electronics and the computing side of it. That's something that we really have to remind ourselves about. The timing has to be right. That can be timing or situation. You know, the Amazon Dash buttons, the order dishwasher tablets, when you've just put the last one into your dishwasher, it's capturing that moment rather than having to remember to do something later. If as a coffee shop owner, capture the potential customer who is a 3-minute walk away from the train station, such that as they arrive, their coffee is prepared, ready, paid for, and they can pick it up and go, then you've won business. Ubiquitous computing, it's the disappearing into the background for 23.5 hours of the day and just being there at the convenient time.
Yeah.
One of the things I love about the IoT space of the last 10 years or so has been such a hot area, and it requires collaboration. I'm a good fit for what you want here. I'm not a great fit for that. Engineering-y type technologists, it's all too easy to get really fascinated with this accelerometer that can sample 50 times a second, needs to say, yeah, but why are you bothering? Or, hey, wouldn't it be really useful if you did this instead? That interaction, that bouncing off each other is the bit that I really love.